Most people spend the entirety of their lives on a relentless, exhausting chase for wealth. They pour their hearts and souls into their work. They rise early and stay late. They save diligently. They hustle with every ounce of their being, and they set ambitious goals year after year. Yet, for so many, no matter how hard they push or how fast they run, true, lasting wealth remains like a shimmering mirage on the horizon. Always visible, yet always just out of reach. It slips through their fingers like fine sand. It artfully evades their most strategic efforts. It seems to arrive with ease for others, but for them it never fully lands. And so, after years of this frustrating pursuit, they begin to believe a lie. They conclude that wealth must be about complex strategies, fortunate circumstances, or other mysterious external factors beyond their control. They resign themselves to the idea that some people are just lucky, and others are not. But the profound truth is that wealth in its truest form does not begin in your bank account. It begins in your mind. It is an internal game before it is ever an external one. It starts with the quality of your thoughts, the resonance of your feelings, the nature of your responses, and most critically, what your subconscious mind, the deep, silent puppet master of your life, believes is possible for you. You can never sustainably outperform your own internal programming. You can try. You can use brute force and sheer willpower to achieve a fleeting taste of success. But if your subconscious mind is still fundamentally wired for scarcity, you will, with absolute certainty, find a way to sabotage yourself and return to your familiar baseline. If your core, unexamined belief is that money is hard to get, even harder to keep, or something not meant for people like you, you will unconsciously create circumstances that make this belief true. You won't do it because you want to fail, but because the primary directive of your brain is to maintain coherence, to stay in alignment with what it considers to be normal. You must understand this. Your brain is not designed for abundance, it is designed for survival. Its job is to keep you safe, and safety, to the primitive brain, means familiarity. If wealth feels unfamiliar, if the energy of true abundance feels foreign or unsafe, your subconscious will fight it with every tool at its disposal. It will reject opportunities. It will sow seeds of doubt. It will pull you back with the powerful gravity of habit to what it knows, even if what it knows is a life of struggle and lack. This is the hidden reason why lottery winners so often lose every penny and end up more miserable than before. It's why brilliant entrepreneurs who make millions can sometimes burn their empires to the ground in a shockingly short period. Their outer world changed, but their inner programming, their financial thermostat, remained set to a low temperature. But here is the most hopeful and powerful truth of all. The opposite is also true. When you consciously decide to rewire your mind for wealth, when you take on the sacred work of creating new beliefs, forging new neural patterns, and building a new financial identity from inside out, the dynamic shifts completely. You stop chasing money and you begin to attract it. This isn't magic. It's not an instantaneous flash of lightning. It is a systematic, consistent, and natural process. Because now, your actions, your decisions, your emotions, and your intuitions are all aligned with the frequency of wealth. You no longer repel it with subconscious fear and doubt. You allow it. You expect it. You create the internal conditions that make its arrival in your life an absolute inevitability. Wealth is not just about what you do. It is about who you become. And becoming someone who attracts, creates, and sustains wealth is a journey of training your brain to think differently. It is about letting go of the old, inherited programming, installing new and empowering patterns, and courageously breaking the generational cycle of scarcity to step into a new, powerful, and joyous relationship with money. That is what this is truly about. We are not here for quick fixes or temporary jolts of motivation. We are here for lasting change, for deep and permanent transformation, the kind that shifts your thinking at the very root. Because when you change your mind, you change your behavior. When you change your behavior, you change your results. And when your results change consistently, your life transforms permanently. Step 1. Unearthing your unconscious programming. The first courageous step in reprogramming your brain to attract wealth is to recognize and accept a powerful truth. Your current relationship with money was not chosen by you. It was conditioned into you. From the moment you were born, you were a sponge absorbing beliefs, watching interactions, and listening to conversations that shaped your entire world. You around money, success, work, and what was or wasn't possible for your life. And for the vast majority of us, unless you were one of the rare few who grew up in a household of conscious abundance, most of what you absorbed was deeply rooted in a mindset of scarcity and limitation. Think back. You heard phrases spoken over the dinner table, in the car, during stressful moments. Phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work brutally hard for every single dollar. Rich people are greedy and dishonest. We can't afford that. Save for a rainy day. Which implicitly teaches you to expect storms. These weren't just casual conversations. They were potent instructions being coded directly into your developing mind. They were messages that shaped the very way your brain learned to interpret value, opportunity, risk, and reward. Every repeated complaint about bills, every argument between your parents about spending, every moment of palpable tension you felt when the topic of money arose, it was all reinforcing a mental framework, a subconscious blueprint for your financial life. And unless you have consciously and deliberately challenged that blueprint, it is still running your life today. It's operating in the background like an old piece of software, influencing your decisions, capping your potential, and controlling far more than you realize. Because your brain doesn't just store information passively, it actively creates meaning. And the meaning it assigns to money becomes your lifelong default setting. If you learned from your environment that the pursuit of money creates stress and conflict, your subconscious will cleverly steer you away from opportunities that might lead to significant wealth. If you were taught, either directly or indirectly, that it's selfish or unspiritual to want more than you need, you will be plagued by a deep sense of guilt every time you begin to succeed. If you observed your family members making and then losing money easily, you will develop a profound fear of success, because a part of you believes that any wealth you acquire is destined to be lost, bringing with it the pain of failure. This is precisely why logic alone is an insufficient tool for this work. You can read all the finance books in the world. You can recite affirmations until you are blue in the face. You can stand in front of the mirror and say, "I want to be wealthy." But if the deeper, more powerful part of your mind, your subconscious, still sees wealth as unsafe, unfamiliar, or morally wrong, it will find a way to sabotage you. The sabotage isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's brilliantly clever, but it is always consistent. You'll make a little progress and then mysteriously stall out. You'll be presented with a golden opportunity, but will second guess it until it passes you by. You'll start an exciting new venture and then allow your inner critic to talk you out of it. This isn't because you are lazy. It is not because you are broken or unworthy. It is because you are still operating in loyalty to your old programming. And until that fundamental allegiance changes, your results never will. So, how do you begin to change it? You start by becoming a curious observer of your own mind. You become an archaeologist of your own beliefs. You begin to notice your patterns, not with harsh judgment, but with gentle, compassionate curiosity. You start asking profound questions. Where did this belief about money truly come from? Is it actually factually true, or is it just an inherited story? Is it mine, or did I simply borrow it from my parents, my culture, my community? What would I have to believe instead in order to move forward with power and confidence? Watch how you physically and emotionally respond when you receive an unexpected sum of money. Do you feel a surge of unworthiness? Do you feel a moment of excitement immediately followed by a wave of anxiety about how you might lose it? Do you feel a compulsive urge to spend it quickly, to get rid of it, almost as if it's a hot potato? Observe how you react when you see others succeed, especially your friends or peers. Do you genuinely celebrate their wins, or do you feel a pang of resentment or envy? Do you operate from a belief that there is more than enough abundance to go around? Or do you believe that their gain is somehow your loss? Every single one of these reactions is a diagnostic tool. Every emotional response is a window into the programming you've been taught to believe. And the moment you bring these hidden beliefs into the light of your conscious awareness, they begin to lose their grip on you. When you become aware of the program, you begin to separate your true self from it. But awareness, as crucial as it is only the beginning. The next step is to interrupt the pattern. You must actively break the hypnotic loop and challenge the old story in real time. When a familiar scarcity thought surfaces, like the automatic "I can't afford that," you must pause. You must catch it in the act, and you must ask, is that statement absolutely true, or is it just a familiar, well-worn mental habit? Then you consciously replace it. You reframe the statement into an empowering question. How can I afford that? Or what would it take for me to create the resources for this? Rewiring your brain is about creating new associations. It means deliberately attaching new and empowering meanings to wealth. If money used to represent stress and struggle, you must now consciously and repeatedly reframe it as a symbol of freedom, of options, of impact, of peace. You must shift your internal dialogue, not just once, but over and over again, until the new, empowering thought becomes more familiar than the old, limiting one. This isn't about faking it till you make it. It's about understanding the fundamental principle of neuroplasticity. Repetition is how the human brain learns. It's how it builds and strengthens neural pathways. It is the only way it knows how to replace an old habit with a new one. The more you repeat an empowering belief out loud in your journal, in your silent thoughts, the more your brain begins to prune the old connections and solidify the new ones, eventually accepting your new belief as the core truth. This is where a daily conditioning practice becomes absolutely non-negotiable. Your subconscious mind is like a fertile garden. Every single day, thoughts are being planted. If you do not plant the seeds of abundance, prosperity, and power intentionally, then weeds will grow by default. Scarcity grows by default. Fear grows by default. Doubt grows by default. But if you commit to flooding your mind daily with thoughts, images, and feelings of abundance, you begin to reshape the very terrain of your consciousness. Your brain responds to the programming you give it. That is how it was programmed with limitation, and that is how it must be reprogrammed with freedom. Through daily habits, through mental rehearsal, through emotional reinforcement, you must begin to feel the new belief in your body. You must act as if it is already your reality. Because when your belief and your behavior finally align, profound change becomes not just possible, but inevitable. You will begin to walk differently. You will speak with more certainty. You will make decisions that match your new, powerful programming. You will stop playing small. You will stop shrinking to fit in. You will stop apologizing for wanting a life of magnificent abundance, because you will have trained your brain to expect it, to allow it, and to gracefully receive it. Wealth is irresistibly attracted to certainty, and certainty is born from congruence. When your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and your actions are all moving in the same powerful direction, You become magnetic. You are no longer desperate. You are not chasing. You are aligned, intentional, and powerful. This sacred process doesn't happen overnight. It takes relentless repetition. It takes radical honesty. It takes a level of self-awareness you may have never accessed before. But most of all, it takes a firm and unwavering decision. A decision that says, I will no longer be a slave to the programming I was handed. I will become the architect of my own mind. I will install a new belief system, one that reflects the limitless truth of who I am and what I am here to create. Step 2. Architecting your new financial identity. Once you begin the process of observing and interrupting the old programming, the next essential step is to build a new mental blueprint. One that is meticulously designed for and aligned with abundance, wealth, and financial freedom. You cannot simply remove a limiting belief and leave a void behind. The brain abhors a vacuum and will always seek to fill that empty space. If you don't fill it intentionally with a new, empowering framework, it will inevitably revert to what is familiar, and you'll find yourself right back where you started. That's why consciously replacing old thoughts with new ones is not optional. It is essential to making this transformation stick. These new thoughts and beliefs cannot be vague or wishful. They must be designed with the precision of an architect. Your brain doesn't respond to abstract, fuzzy goals. It responds to specific, emotionally charged, and consistently repeated messages. Your mission is to create a new identity, a new self-concept that sees wealth not as a distant outcome to be chased, but as a natural and normal result of who you are. This identity construction begins with how you see yourself, not just in your fleeting thoughts, but in your deep, core self-image. If you still, on some level, see yourself as someone who struggles with money, you will subconsciously continue to act in ways that reinforce that identity. If you see yourself as someone who is bad with money, you will avoid making financial decisions, shy away from investing, and resist learning and growing, because you are living out a narrative that insists wealth isn't part of your story. But what if that entire narrative could change? What if you began today to see yourself as someone who attracts wealth easily and ethically, someone who is not only capable of creating money, but of managing and multiplying it with clarity, confidence, and wisdom, someone who expects money to show up in their life because they have built the habits, the standards, and the very identity to support and sustain it. That is not delusion, that is the very definition of alignment. To build this new identity, you must first create a vivid mental image of the wealthy version of yourself. And I don't just mean what they look like or what they own. I mean, how do they think? How do they act? How do they feel about money? How do they carry themselves as they move through the world? Visualization is not childish fluff. It is a scientifically validated tool for rewiring the human brain. When you visualize with rich detail, intense emotion, and unwavering consistency, you are literally building the neural pathways that will support your new behaviors. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined reality and an actual physical experience. That's why it's so incredibly powerful. When you consistently see yourself confidently negotiating deals, building your businesses, making wise and profitable investments, and living in a state of joyous abundance, you begin to condition your mind to accept that version of reality as normal. And when your mind accepts it, your behavior inevitably begins to match it. But visualization alone is not enough. You must pair it with aligned action, because identity is ultimately reinforced and solidified by behavior. If you see yourself as someone who manages money brilliantly, but your daily spending is impulsive and chaotic, your brain receives mixed signals. That incongruence creates cognitive dissonance, and dramatically weakens the new programming. However, when your behavior matches your new beliefs, that congruence locks in the new identity with incredible force. So, you must begin acting like the wealthy version of yourself long before you feel ready. This doesn't mean being reckless or pretending. It means aligning your daily choices with your future self. How would they manage their budget? How would they educate themselves about investing? How would they handle a financial challenge, with panic or with resourceful calm? How would they speak about money, with fear or with confidence? How would they treat new opportunities with skepticism or with curiosity? Begin to embody those traits now, not later. Action is the primary language your subconscious mind understands. Every time you make a small decision that is in alignment with your new identity, whether it's tracking your expenses, reading a financial article instead of scrolling on social media, or opening a savings account, you are sending a powerful signal to your brain. You are proving through your behavior that you are no longer the person you were. And your brain, seeking congruence, begins to believe it, not because you said it once, but because you acted like it over and over again. That is how the rewiring becomes real and permanent. You must also reframe the way you feel about money. Most people are carrying a heavy burden of guilt, shame, fear, or anxiety around the topic of wealth. They emotionally associate it with greed, with stress, with complication, with loss. But those negative emotions create energetic friction. They block the flow of abundance into your life. You cannot attract what you secretly resent or fear. Therefore, you must deliberately rewire these emotional associations. Start by consciously associating money with positive, expansive concepts, with freedom, with options, with security, with joy, with generosity, with peace of mind, with positive impact. Replace the old, tired stories like money changes people for the worse, or you have to choose between purpose and profit, with new, empowering beliefs. Wealth amplifies the good that is already within me. Wealth expands my reach and magnifies my ability to contribute. Wealth gives me the ability to serve my community, support my loved ones, and lead without fear. The more you reinforce these positive emotional associations, the easier it becomes to act in alignment with abundance. You will no longer avoid opportunities out of fear. You will no longer downplay your value. You will no longer settle for less than you deserve because you believe it's all you can have. You will begin to walk, talk, and decide like someone who is building a lasting legacy, not just surviving the month. Finally, another powerful lever for rewiring your brain is the language you use every single day. Your words are not just sounds, they are commands that shape your reality. Every time you utter the phrases, "I can't afford that," "I'm always broke," or "I'm just not good with money," you are casting a spell of lack upon yourself. You are reinforcing the very scarcity you claim you want to escape. But when you consciously change your language, you change your entire experience. Start replacing those disempowering statements with declarations of your becoming. I am learning to manage money with wisdom and confidence. I am in the process of creating multiple new streams of income. I am a magnet for the right people and the right opportunities. I am aligned with the energy of wealth and abundance. Do not wait until you feel like it is true. Speak it until you believe it. Your words are instructions to your subconscious. Speak what you want to become and do it daily, not just once, not just when you feel good. Do it daily. In the morning as you start your day, at night before you sleep, in moments of doubt to reclaim your power, and in moments of clarity to amplify your intention. Speak the truth of who you are becoming until it becomes the only truth your mind accepts. Repetition creates reality. You have to consciously and relentlessly upgrade your financial standards in your thoughts, emotions, and actions, because you will never, ever rise above the standards you tolerate for yourself. If you find yourself tolerating a state of financial chaos, you will remain imprisoned there. If you consistently tolerate under-earning, underpricing your services, or fundamentally undervaluing the unique gift that you are, you will continue to be compensated at a level far beneath what you truly deserve. The world will simply reflect back to you the standard you have set for yourself. But the very moment you raise that standard, the moment a deep, unshakable conviction rises within you and declares, "This is no longer acceptable for my life," everything begins to shift. This doesn't mean you will suddenly become a millionaire overnight. The change is far more profound and powerful than that. It means you change your posture in the world. You change how you show up. You begin to establish firm, respectful boundaries. You finally charge what you know you are worth without apology. You develop the courage to walk away from projects, jobs, and relationships that do not match your intrinsic value. You start making decisions that honor this new, elevated level of self-respect. And in doing so, step by deliberate step, you create a new financial normal. Reprogramming your brain for wealth is, at its core, a process of redefining what is normal for you. It's about calibrating your expectations, about making the frequency of abundance feel more familiar than the frequency of lack. Wealth must begin to feel natural in your nervous system, not like a foreign or threatening entity. And you make it feel natural by practicing the art of abundance in your thoughts, your speech, your daily decisions, and your core identity, over and over and over again, until it simply becomes who you are. Now, here is the critical key that unlocks the next phase of this transformation. After you have successfully interrupted the old, self-limiting patterns and have begun the sacred work of building a new internal blueprint, the next great challenge is achieving alignment. Reprogramming your brain to attract wealth is not just a matter of belief. It is a matter of profound and total integration. Alignment means that your thoughts, your emotions, and your daily behaviors are all moving in the same powerful, harmonious direction. The tragedy for most people is that they consciously want wealth, but their subconscious actions scream of lack. Their daily habits signal an avoidance of responsibility. Their routines perfectly reflect the very scarcity they are desperately trying to escape. This profound internal conflict creates immense resistance. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot pressed firmly on the accelerator and the other slammed on the brake. You cannot move forward with any real velocity when a part of you is still pulling back with all its might. You cannot attract abundance into your life if your daily actions demonstrate that you are still expecting to struggle. You cannot build momentum if your thoughts and your behaviors are in a state of constant contradiction. Alignment solves this. Alignment clears the channel, allowing the flow of prosperity to move into your life without obstruction. One of the clearest and most painful signs of misalignment is the recurring pattern of self-sabotage. You make inspiring progress, only to mysteriously slow down or lose motivation. You experience a significant financial win, only to unconsciously find a way to lose it, spend it foolishly, or create a new problem that cancels it out. You take 2 steps forward, but something deep inside of you keeps pulling you 1 step, or even 3 steps back. Let me be unequivocally clear, that is not bad luck. That is not a random series of unfortunate events. That is the predictable result of misalignment between what your conscious mind desires and what your subconscious mind believes is safe for you. To solve this once and for all, you must begin the diligent work of syncing your daily habits with your grandest intentions. You say you want to be wealthy. What does that aspiration look like in your morning routine? What does it look like in your weekly calendar? Where does it show up in your personal discipline and in the way you treat your commitments to yourself and others? If you genuinely want to attract wealth, you must begin by living like someone who deeply respects money, who expects abundance as their birthright, who values their time as their most precious asset, and who fiercely protects their energy from negativity and distraction. Start small. Remember that consistency is infinitely more powerful than short bursts of intensity. Create daily, non-negotiable rituals that anchor you to the new identity you are building. This could be as simple as spending 5 minutes every morning reviewing your financial goals, not as a chore, but as an act of communion with your future self. It could be the practice of writing out a gratitude list specifically for the money you do have right now, shifting your focus from what is missing to what is present. It could be dedicating 15 minutes to reading a book or listening to a podcast that reinforces an abundant, expansive mindset. The key is relentless repetition, not flawless perfection. This is not a performance, it is a process of deep and consistent reinforcement. Another vital piece of achieving alignment is mastering your emotional regulation. Wealth responds to clarity, not to chaos. You cannot make powerful, intelligent financial decisions when you are in a triggered, reactive state. You cannot maintain the consistency required for success when your emotions are running the show. This does not mean you should ignore or suppress your feelings. It means you must become the master of your response. Every time you feel that familiar knot of fear or anxiety tightening in your stomach around the topic of money, you must pause. Do not react. Do not spiral into the same old catastrophic story. Simply observe the feeling with curiosity. Then ask it a question. Is this fear coming from a present-day fact, or is it an echo from my past conditioning? Is this worry based on my current conscious behavior, or is it based on a tired, old story I've been telling myself for years? When you develop the habit of interrogating your fear, you begin to weaken its grip. You start to reclaim your power. You consciously choose logic over loops and intention over impulse. You cannot be a powerful creator of your reality if you are constantly reacting to it. Reprogramming your brain for wealth means building a new emotional pattern, one where fear doesn't control you, where setbacks don't define you, and where your baseline emotional state is rooted in a profound sense of faith, not a chronic state of frustration. And faith in this context is a skill. It is not blind optimism, it is trained focus. Faith is the ability to trust in the reality of what you are building, even when the tangible results have not yet fully appeared in your life. Faith is waking up each morning and taking aligned, inspired action, not because of what your bank account currently shows you, but because of the unwavering belief you hold in your heart. And the more you learn to walk in this state of active faith, the more your brain begins to normalize the feeling of success, to expect it, and to build new neural architecture around it. This is precisely why your environment matters so profoundly. It is incredibly difficult to maintain this delicate state of alignment if your physical space, your daily habits, and your closest relationships all contradict the new identity you are so diligently trying to build. You must begin to protect your personal space as if it were a sacred temple, because it is. The conversations you overhear, the energy you absorb from the people around you, the habits you see modeled day in and day out, they are all reinforcing something within you. It is either a message of abundance or a message of scarcity. Your physical environment should be a reflection of your future, not a museum of your past. Clean your space, remove clutter, upgrade what you can, even in small ways. Create a sense of order and beauty, because order sends a powerful signal to your brain. We are in control here. We are preparing for more. We are making space for the abundance that is on its way. Every time you walk into an environment that reflects your future self, you reinforce the message that this new reality is not just possible, but inevitable. The same principle applies to your social circle. Are the people you spend the most time with reinforcing scarcity or abundance? Do they normalize making excuses, or do they normalize finding solutions and getting results? Do they genuinely celebrate your wins, or do they feel subtly threatened by your growth? You don't have to cut everyone out of your life, but you absolutely must become a conscious curator of your inner circle. Proximity is power, and the people you allow into your life are actively shaping what you believe is possible for yourself. You must also begin to align your language, not just in what you say out loud, but even more importantly, in the silent, constant chatter of your internal dialogue. That inner voice is shaping your external destiny, moment by moment. You cannot build a life of wealth while your mind is constantly repeating a mantra of lack. I'm always broke. I'm so far behind. I never get ahead. Things just never work out for me. These phrases are not harmless observations. They are hypnotic incantations that reinforce limitation and powerlessness. You must replace them, ruthlessly, relentlessly. You must begin to speak as if your success is already in the process of unfolding. I am learning and growing every day. I am building powerful new habits. I am becoming more disciplined and focused. I am attracting divinely aligned opportunities. Even if it feels awkward at first, even if your current circumstances seem to contradict these statements, you must speak your new reality into existence. This is not magic, it is neuroscience. Your words directly shape your emotional state, and your state is the fuel that shapes the quality of your decisions. Finally, you must align your vision. This means going beyond just having big picture goals and cultivating a moment-to-moment intention. Repetition is what reprograms the brain. The more you rehearse your desired future mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally, the more real and attainable it becomes. Spend dedicated time every single day imagining your future in vivid detail, not as a whimsical fantasy, but as a form of deliberate practice. See it, feel it in your body, prepare for it, and then take action as if its arrival is a foregone conclusion. Because the truth is, it is. You are not waiting for wealth to find you. You are creating the internal alignment that allows it to flow to you. You are no longer chasing money. You are becoming the person that money, opportunity, and success naturally find. Because wealth is not an accident. It is not a reward. It is a reflection of the internal world you have chosen to consciously and courageously cultivate. The shift from consumption to creation, attracting lasting wealth, requires more than just belief, identity, and emotional alignment. It demands a radical, fundamental shift in how you relate to the concept of value. Wealth does not flow to those who simply want money. It flows to those who create value, who exchange value, and who multiply value. Most people never attract the wealth they desire because they are operating from a mindset of consumption, not a mindset of creation. Their primary focus is on how much they can get from the world, not on how much they can give. Your brain must be retrained to seek opportunities to serve, not just to secure your own survival. This begins with a profound re-evaluation of your role in the world. Are you primarily a consumer of value, passively waiting for the world to give you more? Or are you a producer of value, actively finding ways to contribute, to innovate, and to solve problems for others? The difference in these two mindsets is the difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of magnificent abundance. One is passive and powerless, the other is active and powerful. You attract wealth by becoming undeniably useful. You attract it by solving problems big or small for other people. The more valuable you become to the marketplace and to your community, the more options you create for yourself. The more options you have, the more power you hold. The creation of value is the ultimate gateway to abundance, and you must train your brain to ask the right questions. Instead of asking, "What can I get?" you must begin to ask, "Where can I serve? What can I improve? How can I create something that people truly need or want?" Most people are waiting for an opportunity to fall into their lap instead of becoming the opportunity themselves. They are hoping for a lucky break instead of dedicating themselves to developing the skills, habits, and mindset that would make them valuable in any market, under any conditions. And because of this passive stance, they remain stuck. Not because the world is inherently unfair, but because they have not yet made the pivotal shift from a scarcity mindset to a service mindset. You must begin to see every skill you've acquired, every experience you've had, and every challenge you've overcome as a component in your personal value bank. Your story is currency. Your unique insights are currency. Your ability to communicate, to lead, to adapt, to solve problems, all of it holds immense potential value. But if you never develop it, never package it, and never offer it to the world, you remain invisible. You remain underpaid and undervalued, not because you aren't capable, but because you have never positioned yourself as a solution. To truly reprogram your brain for wealth, you must fall in love with the act of contribution. You must become obsessed with solving interesting problems, with creating something better than what existed before you arrived. You must find joy in making things work, in adding more than you take, and in becoming a person of genuine substance. The marketplace, in its essence, rewards contribution, not effort alone, not time alone. It rewards results, impact, and value. This shift will fundamentally change how you see money itself. Most people see money as the ultimate goal. But money is just a measurement of exchanged value. It is a mirror. It simply reflects the quality, consistency, and scale of the value you have produced over time. When you stop chasing the mirror and start focusing on polishing the person and the contribution that it reflects, everything changes. You stop attaching yourself worth to the number in your bank account, and you start anchoring it to how much you have grown, how much you have served, and how deeply you have developed your character and your skills. Because when you become a person of consistent, undeniable value, wealth ceases to be a prize to be won. It becomes a natural and predictable byproduct of who you are. You must also reprogram how you think about the mechanics of wealth creation. Most people are taught to trade time for money, to earn an hourly wage, to think in purely linear terms. Work more hours, make more money. But this model is inherently limited. It is capped by the number of hours in a day. It is exhausting. And in the modern economy, it is becoming rapidly outdated. The wealthy think differently. They think in terms of leverage, of assets, of systems, and of exponential growth. You must teach your brain to see beyond your own labor. You must start asking a different caliber of questions. How can I build something once that pays me over and over again? How can I solve a problem in a way that scales beyond my personal time? How can I turn my knowledge, my experience, or my ideas into assets that work for me while I sleep? These are the questions that unlock exponential opportunity, not because they are magical, but because they force your brain to look beyond the default settings you were raised with. You must commit to developing your financial intelligence. This goes far beyond just saving and budgeting. It means understanding how money truly moves in the world, how wealth is built and sustained, how systems create leverage, how the tax code works, and how investments grow over time. Your brain cannot attract what it does not understand. Financial ignorance breeds fear, and fear will always push wealth away. The more confident you become in your ability to manage, grow, and multiply money, the more your brain stops treating wealth as a threat and starts welcoming it as a familiar and cooperative partner. You stop seeing it as something reserved for them, and start claiming it as something that is absolutely for you. The gap was never in your worth, it was in your thinking, and that thinking is shaped daily by what you read, by who you talk to, by the questions you ask, and by the environment you inhabit. Every day, your brain is being trained. Either it is being trained for expansion, or it is being trained for contraction. Either you are becoming more open and receptive to wealth, or you are becoming more comfortable and entrenched in lack. The direction of your life depends entirely on what you allow into your mind. You must curate your inputs with the diligence of a museum curator. Feed your brain with books, mentors, conversations, and challenges that stretch you, that remind you of what is possible, and that push you beyond the boundaries of your current comfort zone. Repetition wires the mind, and the more you expose your consciousness to the frequency of abundance, the more normal it begins to feel. And the moment abundance feels normal, you stop rejecting it. You stop sabotaging it. You stop shrinking when it arrives. Instead, you expand to meet it. You rise, you lead, you create even more, because now your brain is no longer fighting the flow of wealth. It is directing it.